Hello and welcome to Boomerand Beyond Wellness. I'm Angela Fischetti. So today's workout is legs and glutes with supersets and compound movements. Supersets are when we work two different exercises back to back without any rest. Compound movements is when we're going to be working multiple large muscles with multiple joints simultaneously. Now the accessories we'll be using today will be a sticky yoga mat. I'm going to suggest to you a variety of dumbbells. It just turns out that I'm working with one pair of dumbbells today, 25-pounders. However, I will be leveling up by wearing 1 pound wrist weights. Now, for some of us, jumping up by 3 or 5 pound increments is simply too much. So I'm going to suggest you get yourselves adjustable wrist weights, and in particular with 1/4 pound increments, particularly for this channel. Now I'll also be using one kettlebell, it's 20 pounds, and a weighted exercise bar, also 20 pounds. However, if you don't have a bar and you're kind of new to all of this, then grab yourself your broomstick, folks, because we're going to be working an exercise called the Zercher Squat. Now, why a broomstick? Because I'm not looking to increase any weight, to do any external resistance with you, particularly for those of you with the chronic concerns and are new. But I'm really advising you to pay attention to your form. So holding the broomstick will put you in the moment, connecting you with what you're doing. Also, I will be using exercise wedges, 2 of them, but I'm just going to show you one here. And this is what they look like. So it's like so. Now, from the side, what we're going to be doing with this is an elevated heel squat, as well as elevated Romanian deadlifts. So with the squat, when you mount the wedge from the front, all right, from the front and back up onto it, your toes and the balls of the feet will be on the low end, your heels on the high end. However, for a deadlift, I'm going to turn it around here to show you like so. Your heels will be down here and the balls of the feet and the toes up here. So it's the difference between a plantar flexion and a dorsiflexion. Now, what if you don't have wedges? Well, I got you. All right, I got you. It may not be a full and complete plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, but it's a good way to hack it if you don't have the wedge. So I'm going to set these down and showing you first the basic squat. So let me just pull it back a little bit more, coming around the front, a little bit more, sorry. Now I'm going to bring my heels on the bar, and I'm going to bring the feet right up to the inside edges of the collars of the weight. The collars here would be that sort of orange or peach color. And I'm now in a form of a plantar flexion. The toes aren't quite doing it, or not quite in the correct position, but you know, it's good enough for now. So we're going to sit back into a chair, inhale, exhale up for a pelvic tuck squeeze. We're squeezing the glute, we're squeezing the quadriceps. Now, stepping down from the front, I'm going to approach from behind for my Romanian deadlift, elevated. So I separate the weights and I bring the balls of the feet, toes up on the bar. And the difference between the squat and the deadlift would be this hip hinge, pelvic tuck squeeze. At the top, I am not sitting back into the chair. So that's a good little piece of information if you don't have the wedges. All right. And I think that's all of it. Okay, did I mention the fit ball? Not sure, so no, I haven't because it's over here. So You can use a fit ball as well for the same reason as the broomstick. No additional weight, but definitely will keep you present in the moment with your squat work. And now this all leads me into, there's a lot of chat in the beginning here, folks, okay? But it leads me into the medical disclaimers and precautionary measures because they're important to talk about. First off, if you have any chronic health concern at all, and you know that this channel is the Chronic Concerns Corner, please preview the video before participating and look for what you can do. However, if you're not sure, then I would invite the medical healthcare practitioner who knows your body best to preview the video as well to help you make an informed decision. Now, specific to this video, if you have a latex allergy, please be careful because the mat, the fit ball, and maybe you have a 9-inch Pilates ball, they're all made out of latex, so you do want to look for non-latex or latex-free. Also, if you're medicated or not for hypertension, have vertigo or GERD, I need you to avoid this position of the neck. It's the cervical spine. Dropping that head down. That's a flexion of the cervical spine. You folks, please keep your chin head neutral. Now, conversely, those of you who have had a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, or a stroke, please be careful of this position of the cervical spine. Hyperextension. You also want to keep the chin head neutral. Now, the neck is perfectly capable of doing these movements, folks, so you don't need to be afraid of them. But if you've had a TIA or a stroke, or even if you have an arthritic neck, I would keep that head center. All right? Also, if you have any back spine flexion issues where you've been advised not to bend down to pick up something, especially something of weight. So come with me here to the wall, folks. And I'm going to come into what's called a wall sit or a wall seat. So I'm going to make sure my toes are in the same line as each other. It's kind of like taking an athletic ready stance at the wall. And I'm lining up to my knees all the way up to my high hip bones. Now, I'm pretty broad here. And so what I want to do is place the hands to the inside of the high hip bone. And therefore, I'm totally in a line. Now, you're going to see that your spine, you're not flexing, you're not bending down. You can slide up and down or simply hold here isometrically. But I do want to mention those of you with osteoporosis of the spine or the postural deviation known as hyperkyphosis, where you might be a little hunched in appearance. You want to definitely make sure your back is all the way up against the wall, and for those of you with hyperkyphosis, grab a towel, roll it up, place it behind your head, and you press the back of your head into that towel, because otherwise you're going to have a forward head posture. It's also known as tech neck. So it's a way for you to actually strengthen the posterior neck muscles as well. The other movement, the other exercise that might be contraindicated for those of you with knee issues where flexing the knees, bending is a problem, could be any form of a squat that we do here today. Take it to the wall because you get to go as low or as high as you personally need to. So using the wall right there for 3 or 4 issues can be quite helpful. Also, if you have golfer's or tennis elbow, that's medial epicondylitis or lateral epicondylitis. Let me show you something here. I'm going to show it with the broomstick for the moment. For the Zercher squat. So you see here that my arms, well, the elbows are flexed. Therefore, my biceps are going to work quite a bit. The Zercher squat will look like this, where we're sliding straight up and down. No flexion of the spine. Could be a good alternative for those of you with the back spine flexion issues. However, the flexion of the elbow is an issue, And therefore, for those of you with golfers or tennis elbow, I need you to seek further medical advice. Find out from your doctor if doing any bicep work is appropriate for you, and therefore you will know whether or not you can do the work. I hope you can, but you can always do another form of a squat as an alternative. Also, if you have vestibular challenges, this is challenges with your balance. So we're going to be doing a kickstand deadlift, which means it's unilateral. It's one side at a time. And working with the wedges may not be the best thing for you. So for you folks, I'm going to advise you can do a different type of deadlift, not to use the wedges or even stand on the weights. And with those of you, for those of you, I should say, with vestibular challenges, please never work out solo. Always have a companion with you. And then finally, at least for the moment, for those of you who have what is called valgus knees. So valgus knees is when you do this. It's kind of like a bow-legged appearance, but the knee is rotating in, right? And that's also coming from the hip. So for you folks, please do not do anything that I do here with a narrow stance. I will be doing a narrow stance squat, and I will be doing a narrow stance deadlift. Not for you folks. Separate those legs. And I think we've got it all covered. Okay, so now moving on to some gentle reminders. Always feel free to stop and rest whenever you need to. However, I'm not inviting you to quit. So you take a couple of breaths, return to the work, even if it's just for one repetition. Also, do make sure you keep yourselves properly hydrated with water while you're working out. Now, if you've been medically advised not to drink a lot of water, maybe for kidney or bladder issues or whatever, please follow this medical advice. Now, on the channel, I want you to go to the posts tab, and it used to be known as the community tab. You want to look for the rating of perceived exertion chart, RPE for short, and basically it's a 0 through 10 subjective scale, and it's an excellent tool, or could be an excellent tool for some of you who are maybe taking certain medications like beta blockers, or maybe you have a pacemaker, or maybe you just don't know how to take your training heart rate. So it is advised for this channel to work out at an RPE between 3 and 6. And also within the post tab, look for some reference screenshots. Now on the channel, pinned near the top, we have there a warm-up and cool-down video. One video where you can interchange the movements. And it is because it's important for those of us 55 years and above to warm up for a full 10 minutes prior to any workout. So what are we going to do here today with this legs and glutes superset compound movement workout? Well, I'm going to teach you 8 exercises vertically. This is where we do not use external resistance. However, we'll be holding on to the fit ball or your Pilates 9-inch ball and the broomstick when it comes time to demonstrate the Zercher squat. After the vertical approach, oh, by the way, we're going to do one set of each, and a set is a group of 8 to 15 repetitions. Then we will move into the supersets where we work 4 blocks of 2 exercises each with the weights. So now we're going to begin here in an athletic ready stance. I already showed you at the wall, the line, how you line it up. However, I do want to point out one thing. Oftentimes the females in the house will do this. They will start to tip the pelvis forward. So it's called an anterior pelvic tilt. We don't want to do that. We want to come into a subtle posterior pelvic tilt, which is known as a pelvic tuck. Now, the first block, well, I'm going to grab the fit ball, and I just want to check one thing. Yes, okay, want to make sure we were all right. So we're going to do a basic squat, which I demonstrated on the wedge, and a basic deadlift. I also demonstrated that. So I'm going to turn here in a little bit of a diagonal for you. Now, I'm going to have the weights, but I'm going to hold the ball here because that's what I like when I use a ball. You can bring your arms down. You don't have to hold the ball, but like I said, for form. So the toes are lifted inside the shoes. I do this because it helps strengthen the shins. It's great for your gait and ambulation. It also is helpful for your knees and your balance. And you're working an area of the body that doesn't get a lot of love. So with the ball here, and, oh yes, one other tip to tell you. You come up from the heels. So with the toes lifted, you wind up driving up through the heels, which will work your entire posterior extensor chain of the body. That would be the erector muscles, the back erector muscles, the gluteals, and the hamstrings. So with the toes lifted, inhale, sit back into a chair, exhale up, pelvic tuck, squeeze. Breath is in and out through the nose. And you want to pause at the peak of the contraction. That's up here. And I'm really pushing up through those heels, contracting my muscles at the top. We're going to go for one more repetition. And hold. Now, I'm going to lower the ball down. I'm not moving the feet. I'm going to keep those toes lifted. Here's my deadlift. Now remember, this is a hip hinge. Now what if you don't have much range of motion here? That's perfectly okay. You do what you can. As long as I get a hip hinge out of you, softened knees, toes lifted, we're on the same page. Heart center is lifted. Remember, those of you medicated or not for hypertension, have vertigo or GERD, I need you to keep that chin up to neutral. One more. Inhale and exhale up. Now, for the second block, this is where we're going to tie in the broomstick for that Zercher squat, and we're going to be doing the kettlebell kickstand, the kickstand deadlift. So holding your bar. Now, folks, I can't turn to the side here because I have to watch my form that I don't wind up coming into a forward flexion. So when I do the work here, I'm going to slow it down, and I'm tracking the knees over the second to third toes. The toes are in the same line as each other. Remember, the elbows do not point straight down. I almost tipped into that forward flexion. So I want to use the image of sliding down the back wall. And hold here, squeeze. Inhale as you lower, exhale up. And one more, exhale up. And now we're going to do the kettlebell kickstand deadlift, and that's where I'm going to use my ball for this, all right? So, ball in front, the back heel is lifted, I'm up on the ball of the foot. It's not like a big split stance, not necessary. But the head is up, hip hinge, and I'm shooting in this particular angle because I really have to watch myself that I don't round my spine. Now when I come up, notice I'm not coming straight up like this. I want you to come up and forward, up and forward for the kickstand deadlift. We're going to do one more repetition. Hold, step forward, and I'm going to take it to the other side. Make sure I don't come too far forward where I'm off camera, all right? And hip hinge. Now, I have to tell you, this side is definitely more challenging for me. I had an injury as a child, and that darn scar tissue builds up, right? But I'm still working through it and still doing it, but to the best that I can handle. Two more. Inhale, exhale, chest up, but coming up and forward so you get right into the gluteal. And now for the third block, we have narrow squats with narrow deadlifts. I'm going to turn completely to the side here. Feet together. Who doesn't do it? Valgus knee, right? Also watch those of you with the flexion of the knee and back spine flexion issues. So sitting back into a chair, exhale up. So it's a nice movement to do after that kind of a wide-legged sumo version of a Zercher squat, right? Inhale, exhale, pause. 2 more, please. Keep the head up. 1 more. Now I'm just going to do a bit of an angle here. When you do a deadlift, the weights will be directly in front of you, really close to the body. Toes up and hip hinge. Pause. So this entire class is really focusing quite a lot on the gluteals, folks, because it's so important for us, particularly as females, to have strong gluteals for a healthy aging process. There are times people fall because of weak gluteals. Not all the time, but sometimes. 1 more, and take it on up. Now, for the final block, we have those elevated heel squats and the elevated Romanian deadlifts. So what I'm going to do here is, let me just set this down for a second. Grab these. I'm going to turn this one forward, this one back, and then you'll see I'll interchange them. Here we go. And let me grab the ball. Now for the squat, I'm mounting from the front and going backwards. Chest up, sit back into a chair and take it up. Pelvic tuck squeeze at the top. So folks, I will always have a timestamp for you that when you come back for the replay, you can bypass a lot of the chat because you'll already know that information as it pertains to yourself, and then apply it. Your responsibility is to apply it. Let's go for 1 more repetition. Exhale up, pause. Now, I'm going to turn this one around. No, sorry, the other one. The one I was just on. Okay, now we're separating them. And just want to make sure. Yeah, here we go. All right, I'm in dorsiflexion, right? I'm going to let the ball hang down. And hip hinge. So the feet are just a bit wider than the hips. I think I actually want to go a little touch wider. Yeah. Pause. Now, I live in South Florida. We are definitely having our fair share of heat. So I will wind up sweating here. 1 more. Inhale, exhale up. So now we've done the whole thing. I'm going to set that off to the side, and we'll grab these in a moment. So we're going to begin here with our round of squats and basic deadlifts. Putting on my 1-pound wrist weights, and they're going to stay on for the rest of the session. With 25-pounders, I'm going to get this out of the way now. Make sure it doesn't fall. Okay. Facing you for the first set. Arms are plugged into the shoulder sockets, toes lifted inside the shoes. Inhale, sit back. Exhale, up. Pelvic tuck, squeeze. Going into our supersets. 2 more. Right here. Weights out in front, toes lifted, deadlifts, hip hinge. Keep those weights super close. And I always kind of slow down my pace here on a deadlift. I have a winged scapula on my real right shoulder. You see it as the left. So I just check myself. I'm going to do one more to make sure the arm is in place. All right, back into the squats. Let's do a little bit of a diagonal now. Change the position a bit. Don't want to be too far forward. And inhale, exhale. Belly button is in. Remember, those toes are lifted. Two more. Deadlifts. Hip hinge. Got to double check, I don't round. You hear me breathing. Two more. One more. Okay, setting these down for the moment. Now we're going to do the Zercher Squats. I'm going to grab my bar with the kettlebell kickstand deadlift. So this turns it into 22 pounds. All right. Just want to make sure she's even on both sides. Remember, be careful here with a golfer's or tennis elbow. Keep them up. All right, I got to slide down that back wall. Exhale up, pause, squeeze at the top. Taking my time, placing my body rather than haphazardly moving through it for the sake of speed. This is not about speed. Two more. One more. Come on, stay upright. And hold here. Carefully bringing the bar down. If you have somebody who lives below you, don't let it slam. Okay. Now moving to the kickstand deadlift. Correct? Yeah. Okay. So here too is 22 pounds, with the kettlebell being a 20-pounder, and then the additional wrist weights. They make a difference, folks. It's great. Oh, man. Two more. Woo! Truly no getting around that with gluteal work. Okay. Both knees bend, not just one. Up and forward. Last one. Back to Zerchers. I've been giving this a lot to my fellow senior students and clients because it's just really great for posture, and especially posture under load. Okay, here we go. Upright, Angela. Here we go. Did you see that? I went to a little bit of a flexion there. So just keep visualizing, sliding down that back wall, knees tracking over second to third toes. Wonderfully working those shins. It feels great. Working your shoulders too, folks, along with those biceps for sure. One more. And not to mention those inner thighs, those hip adductors as well, right? Coming up. Okay, back to kickstand deadlift. Let's begin on this side. What the heck? Okay. Hip hinge, Angela, hip hinge. Right. Whew. Wow. Lots of hamstring and glute. Lots of back work. Just keep pulling the belly button in to protect the back. Keep that chest up. I say these to you, but I'm reminding me. I'm going to do one more. And change sides. Oh yeah, here we go. Wow. Oh. Come on, side, you can do it. Hip hinge more, hip hinge more. Last one. Wow. Ooh la la. Okay, let's set that one down. And then we're moving on to narrow stand squats along with the narrow deadlifts. So remember, no for valgus knee for sure. Feet together. Make sure I don't hit the bench. A little forward. Okay. Sit back and up, pelvic tuck. We're on our third block. One more. And I'm going to face you for this one because this is challenging for me and I need to see. Okay. And hip hinge. Wow. Wow. Narrow stance deadlift is no joke. I want you to be able to bend down and pick up something and get up without issue. Compound movements reflect activities of daily living, last one, and functional movements, staying to the front. Definitely doing movements we do in real life. Come on, all the way up. Pelvic tuck squeeze. There it is. Last one. And to give you a little bit of a different angle here. Okay. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, better. One more. Ooh la la. Now I'm going to set the weights down before we go any further. Just want to take a little bit of movement here with you. So if you need to stretch or anything like that, do some mobility work. You do it in between the blocks, not between the sets. So what I'm doing here is placing my hands on my sacrum, the flat triangular plate at the low back. Do be careful with carpal tunnel syndrome because that's a wrist extension, folks. So you want to bring your hands down behind your thighs. What I'm just going to do here is kind of like a slow belly dance movement. Oh, it feels great after doing the deadlifts. Really great. And then we're going to reverse direction. Maybe you can call this a hula hoop type movement, but also slow. And back to center, shoulders. And now let's set up the wedges. And we're going to do those elevated heel squats along with the elevated deadlifts. Just want to make sure they're set up, same side. Yeah, great. All right. So grabbing the 25-pounders. coming from the front, working up the back. And inhale, exhale. And I love to vary up the work, even if it's like the same exercise. Doing it with different equipment is excellent for our cognition. Two more. Oh, man. And hold. Walk down the front. I do have to set them down to readjust. Okay. Just going to turn this one. There we go. Keep them separated, not too far forward. Okay. And elevated Romanian deadlifts, an excellent approach for tight hamstrings and low back. Gotta watch that left arm. Oh yeah. Two more. Woohoo! Yeah, my glutes are talking. Let's, what the heck, change it up. Turn this one around for the squats. And, okay. Back up. Remember, you get to use wall sits, right? Wall seats. You can repeat Zercher squats if you find, if you're dealing with back spine flexion issues. One more. Great. Now readjust that wedge. Okay. Turn it around. And one more round. Romanian deadlifts, elevated. And if you have any special requests, folks, especially for the Have It Your Way workouts, where we work one exercise at a time, always feel free to contact me by way of the contact form on my website, which is boomerandbeyondwellness.com. And I will definitely get back to you. One more. And carefully backing up. Ooh la la. And now let's get these out of the way. And I'm just going to do a little bit of a cool down with you and then ask you to please head on over to the channel and take about an additional 5 minutes for your cool down. Let's make sure these are removed. Okay, shoulder rolls, everybody. So we don't want to do elbow pumps, right? Big shoulder rolls. And now standing with those feet a bit wider than the hips. Let's do lateral flexion of the spine, which is side bending. I love to just do some spine mobility while we stretch other muscles, like the intercostals between the ribs, the obliques at the waist. Intercostals, breathing, accessory muscles. Inhale, turn the palm up, grab an imaginary hook, push down into the left heel. Exhale, take it to the other side. Now, those of you medicated or not for hypertension, have rotator cuff or pinched nerve, keep your hand to the waist. The rest of us, feel free to bring the arm up and over. I'm reaching down to reach up through those middle fingers. Notice I'm not turning down toward the floor. That's going to collapse the side organs. Take the sternum, lift it up to the ceiling. Inhale, turn the palm up, grab a hook. Exhale, push down into that right heel. Return to center. Now, I'm going to turn here again, hands on the sacrum. Be careful, carpal tunnel. And with those feet wider than the hips, I want to do my back spine extension. And that's a form of a back bend. This is where TIA stroke. I'm going to ask you to keep the chin neutral. Also, arthritic neck. Roll the shoulders back. Now, I'm choosing to bend the knees. You can straighten them. Now, if you're ready, feel free to go into hyperextension of the cervical spine. Oh, and you might get a spine adjustment. Oh, feels great. And you can also straighten the knees. Inhale to lift the head up, avoiding orthostatic hypotension. Exhale, come back to center. Take some nice big shoulder rolls, and that's what we have for you today, folks, here at Boomer and Beyond Wellness. So if you live in the Fort Lauderdale area, and if you have loved ones with certain delicate issues like Parkinson's or cognitive impairment, I do teach live classes at the Alzheimer's Care Center in Lauderdale Lakes, and you can contact me for the schedule. And I also teach at St. Joseph's Residence, also in Lauderdale Lakes, and in Fort Lauderdale. In June, I will be teaching at the Meridian at Waterways. However, I'm super excited about this, folks, because these folks who reside there are higher functioning, but they're all chair classes, and they must be by law and their insurance, etc. But at the Meridian at Waterways, I'm creating a strength training class in the chair. And you know I love to lift weights in the chair and turn that chair into a tool for health. So if you can, please, or if you'd like to, please subscribe to the channel, share it, give it a kind comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And also, if you would like to receive my free monthly newsletter, you can subscribe by going to boomerandbeyondwellness.com and looking for the subscribe tab. And as a thank you, you will receive a workout video I created specifically for newsletter subscribers. So until next time, eat your greens, eat your beans, drink your water, and be well. Thanks so much.